The Carolina Hurricanes season is on the line as they are down 3-0 in their series against the Florida Panthers, and game 4 is tonight. Will they continue on their season? We will talk about that in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I am your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, make sure you're following me on Twitter at JaredEllis_96 and the show on Twitter at LO_Hurricanes. And I am once again joined by my host, Andrew Schnittker. How are you doing today, Andrew? It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm back from a nice little trip to the beach. Unfortunately, the Hurricanes cannot say the same.
Yeah, their trip to the beach has not gone great so far. We had some stuff going on yesterday, so we didn't have an episode yesterday. So we're going to talk about game 3 real quick before we dive into game 4. And first off, Sergei Bobrovsky, he was great for the Panthers. He has continued to be great for the Panthers, and it's been the main thing I feel that's hurting the Hurricanes on the Panthers side. He's like the main guy that's preventing them from winning these games. Obviously, yes, the rest of the team out there is doing great, but they cannot get anything past Bob, and that continued in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the chances they had. You look at the breakaway for Stefan Nason. You look at one that Seth Jarvis had right on the doorstep. I mean, even when they did beat Bob, they didn't, because they hit the post 3 times in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's so demoralizing and frustrating right now, is that these games have been so close. Like, the Hurricanes are on the brink of having their season end in a sweep, but they could just as easily be up 3-0 in this series as they are down 3-0.
Yeah, it's crazy just how close these games have been. It has not been like the New Jersey series at all. These games are very, very close, and it feels like had they got this one bounce here or this one bounce there, be talking about a totally different series right now. Hurricanes could be up 3-0, down 2-1, up 2-1. Like, it feels like these games could have gone any sort of way. And that's, like you said, whenever we have beat them last night, or excuse me, not last night, the other night, hit the post 3 times. And so when you are beating him, you're not even having the puck luck to get the puck in the net. And it is very, very frustrating. But, that's not the only thing that's going wrong for this team. And, we knew we wouldn't have a repeated New Jersey series. We knew that, where, it was offense galore. We knew that. But again, Bobrovsky, he has played a big part in the Hurricanes not getting goals, but it does feel like just the team as a whole isn't what's the word I'm looking for? It isn't where they were at in the New Jersey series. It feels like it's really dried up a lot. And again, Bobrovsky is a big part of that, and the Florida Panthers team is a big part of that. But it does feel like they're just not able to create the chances that they are able to do in New Jersey. It's not like they're able to create them and then Bob is stopping them. It just feels like it's a dry Thanksgiving turkey all over again.
Yeah, I think you look at the Panthers and the way that they play, and you remember when we talked to Mike Maniscalco about, one of the biggest things that Paul Maurice brought to that team when they made the surprising decision to switch coaches after winning the President's Trophy last season was going from that run and gun style that we kind of saw from the Hurricanes and Devils in that series to much more of a structured defensive system. And I think you're seeing that a lot from Florida. Now, the Hurricanes are getting good chances.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost been 2 extremes. They had a ridiculous shooting percentage against New Jersey, and now it's gone completely the other way where they're not getting any puck luck at all. But I do also think the Panthers are doing a really good job, blocking shots, keeping those point shots that the Hurricanes like to get through to create rebounds and create chaos from getting through, especially I thought in the third period of game 3, they did a really, really good job taking away the middle of the ice. And when you have an opponent who's doing that, that's going to make it a whole lot harder to create those chances and to create those sustained waves of pressure that I thought we would see from them in the third period of game 3, but we really didn't. So yeah, I mean, certainly, we've all seen the numbers. Sergei Bobrovsky, he's probably saved over 20 expected goals in the past 2 rounds of these playoffs at this point, and he's been insane. But I feel like if you just put it on Bob, you take away from some of the things that the Florida Panthers have done really well defensively in this series, especially, I thought, in game number 3.
Yeah, because that's not taking anything away from the rest of the team. They've all played phenomenal, and especially to get to where they're 1 win away from going to the Stanley Cup final. It has to be the whole team, but it's steering it back to the Hurricanes. You talk about the style that Florida plays, and how they have really done a good job of shutting down that run and gun style that the Hurricanes like to play. And it feels like they scouted the Hurricanes really, really, really well, because just about anything that the Hurricanes have been throwing at them, they've been able to shut it down for the most part. Yes, there's been little hiccups here and there for the Panthers, but do you feel like the Hurricanes may not have adapted as well as they should have in these first 3 games?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I definitely think there are some things that they could try to do better. I think the Florida too, they're doing a pretty good job moving the puck quickly to nullify the Hurricanes forecheck. And again, I think this goes back to Paul Maurice with the scouting and the strategy, because people forget that man has coached and seen a lot of hockey over the years. He is a very say what you want about him, the way his Hurricanes tenure ended, maybe as a motivator. He is a smart coach, and he's I think you've seen in the past, when the Hurricanes had successful playoff runs with him as their coach in 2002 and 2009, he's very good at identifying what the opponent does well and coming up with strategies to take it away, like the Florida Panthers have done. So yeah, if you're the Hurricanes, I think you do have to figure out, hey, they're blocking these point shots out. They're taking away the middle of the ice. We've got to try to get, maybe get more going down low, get across, get Bobrovsky working side to side. You can't just keep trying the same things over and over again and expect it to work. And I feel like that's what they've been doing. I also feel like if I'm Rod Brind'amour, I would have done a little bit more in terms of changing up the lines for game number 3, as opposed to what did he actually do? Just bump Mackenzie McEachern up into the top 6?
Yeah, or even I really think that was about it. There wasn't really any major changes
throughout that.
Yeah, it just feels like not enough changes are being made, because again, like the lineup, it feels like, okay, you could have changed things up a little bit there, and it feels like Florida scouted the Hurricanes so well, and the Hurricanes are, like you said, still trying to do the same few things over and over again, and look at where they're at now.
Well, and the thing I don't get is
it's not that they've been playing the Hurricanes are bad or anything like that. They're not.
No, we've talked about they could be up. I said that they could be up 3-0. They're getting chances. They're not burying them, but going back to the lineup, I don't understand how, these past 2 games with scoring being at the premium it is, we haven't seen a shift of Teuvo Teravainen and Sebastian Aho reunited. That's kind of your, we haven't really seen it a ton, even this year in general. We haven't really seen it at all in these playoffs, but that's kind of your old reliable if you're looking for a spark. That's one of the first things I would do, given that they're, depth scoring from the guys like Jordan Martinook and Jesper Fast has dried up. I would probably reunite those 2 with Jordan Stahl just to kind of get that good cycling possession, play driving line back together, even if you aren't gonna get a lot of scoring from that trio in this series. You're at least gonna, establish even more momentum with what they do to drive play. So, I mean, and this isn't me saying like, oh, well, the Hurricanes are going to lose this series because Rod Brind'amour didn't change the lines. No, I mean, but I do think Rod could probably be doing more right now in terms of making adjustments than he has.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. It feels like, more adjustments could have been made, but, we got one more game, and it's important to take these one game at a time, and that's, super, super important. Let's just, they just need to focus on getting the win tonight in game 4. Just get this win. Like, yes, they have to win 4 straight now, and that's a very hard hole to dig themselves out of, but it can be done. We've seen it done before with teams. LA did it on one of their cup runs. I believe it was 2014 one.
Yeah,
so
it's the Sharks in the first round, and then they ended up winning that was one of the Kings teams that ended up winning the Stanley Cup, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it can be done, and that's the important thing. They just need to take it one game at a time. Let's focus on game 4. All right, once you get past this one, focus on game 5, and then just one game at a time. That's going to be really key here. And we will continue to talk about what the Hurricanes need to do to come away with the win tonight in game 4 right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. It's time to make the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts, accessories, head over to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage. Look for the green check to know that your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible adults only. Exclusions apply. Now, tonight in game 4, again, we've talked about things that need to change already with maybe some line adjustments and adapting to the game a bit better. But as a whole, keys to the game tonight, I feel that a good power play is going to be really important here. In game 1, they had 2 power play goals. They went 2 for 6 on that one. I feel like maybe they could have gotten one more, but game 2, whole lot of nothing. Game 3, whole lot of nothing. So winning that special teams battle is going to be really important here tonight, because we've seen countless times, where just one power play goal can make the difference. Again, going back to the game in Detroit during the regular season, where it was a 1-0 shutout in favor of the Hurricanes, and the lone goal was a Brady Shea power play goal. You never know when these can be the difference maker, and now is a time where they are really, really going to need their power play to be on point tonight.
Yeah, I think if you look at this series, on paper, it's probably pretty even, but I would make the argument that the Panthers have had the edge on special teams. It's not like they're dominating with their power play. The Hurricanes' penalty kill has still been pretty good. They came up with that, killing that partial 5-on-3 and the rest of the power play in that second period of game 3 when the Panthers were threatening to run away with the game. But yeah, I mean, since getting those 2 power play goals in game 1, the Hurricanes power play hasn't scored, and it hasn't been like my problem with the power play in playoffs past that cost them wasn't even that it wasn't scoring a lot, because it's hard to score a lot in general in the playoffs, but on the power play too, but not coming through in key situations. And I feel like it had done a pretty good job of that in the first 2 rounds. But then you look at this series, You get one in the first overtime against Florida. I think they got one in, was it the third or fourth? It was one of the extra overtimes too against Florida. Came up empty. Obviously did not. I think they were 0 for 3 on the power play in game 2, with one of those coming in the third period with the game late, with the game tied. Obviously that could have changed everything. They did not score on their only power play. And we could talk some more about why they only got one power play in game 3, but I guess we don't really need to do that. So yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, is that, you need the power play to come through in those key situations. You get that late second period power play with a chance to tie the game or go up. You get that one in the third period that goes to overtime. You get a power play in overtime. Might want to take advantage. So that's I think the biggest thing for me. If the Hurricanes are going to have a prayer of pulling this thing off, they have got to get the power play going again.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, in game 3, they only had one power play opportunity. So, Florida's getting a lot of the home team calls. So, whenever they do get these opportunities, they really have to make sure that they take advantage of them, because you don't know when and if you'll be getting another opportunity with the way things went in game 3. Kind of figure it'd probably be a carryover into game 4. So, whenever you get a power play opportunity, they really have to make sure things are on point. And one thing, as a whole, has been done well. It has definitely broke down in key situations in this series, but keeping the defense tight, that's really going to be important tonight. Doing their best to shut down Florida. Again, as a whole, it has been good. You mentioned, we're kind of lump penalty killing in here with it. How they killed off that partial 5-on-3 in game 3 when it felt like Florida was going on a run. Their defensive game as a whole in this series, even strength and on the kill, has been really good. But again, it has broken down in key situations with, both the Matthew Tkachuk's overtime winners, in game 2 is, Slavin and Burns getting tangled up and led to that goal. So keeping the defense tight tonight is also going to be really important, and they're really going to need to do everything they can to smother the Panthers offense, and power play as well.
Yeah, because it's the other thing, I go back to the power plays in key situations. The Panthers have been able to do that. Obviously they score on the power play in overtime in game 2. They get their one goal on the power play in game 3. So definitely, your kill needs to be sterling. But yeah, you don't want to give these guys time and space. Alexander Barkov missed the majority of game number 3. Unfortunately, the Hurricanes did not take advantage of that. I think they're pretty optimistic that he's going to be back tonight.
Yeah.
Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk's been able to do some damage in this series. They need to limit his time and space as much as they can. Because that's the thing, is like the Panthers' big guns have scored some clutch goals, but they haven't been necessarily running all over on the Hurricanes. And if you let those guys really, really get going tonight, that's going to be curtains for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned their big guns stepping up at the right moment, when they need them to. That's one thing that the Hurricanes haven't been getting this series, is the big guns stepping up at the key moments when they need them to. So, obviously, you're looking at every single player on the team. We've said it a lot. Key players, at this point of the season is everyone, top to bottom. Everyone is a key player at this point in time. But, in this series, we have really not seen a lot out of Sebastian Aho and Martin Necas. Martin Necas was really rough in game 3. Sebastian Aho, he started out good, but he really kind of petered off as the game wore on, because he was really out there, all over the ice doing everything he could. And I would argue, he still was probably the Hurricanes' best player in game 3, because it really felt, like he was doing everything he could. But it just felt, as the game wore on, the the Panthers did more of shutting him down, keeping him a non-factor. And Martin Necas, he's been rough.
Yeah, I thought Sebastian Aho played pretty well in game 3. He created a lot of chances. You could tell how badly he wanted to be the guy that broke through. I think the thing, that's hurting him right now, I hesitate to criticize him too much because, you look at his wingers, Stefan Nason and Seth Jarvis, they're not getting a whole lot.
Yep.
He's kind of the one guy right now that the Panthers really feel like they have to pay attention to, have to devote extra attention to, have to shut down because these other guys have dried up and they're doing that effectively. I feel like they're doing everything they can to shut down Sebastian Aho and kind of taking their chances with everyone else. Kind of reminds me a little bit of what the Pittsburgh Penguins did with Eric Stahl in the 2009 Eastern Conference Final. So, it's not going to get easier for Sebastian Aho. Andrei Svechnikov ain't walking through that door, but certainly, if the Hurricanes can find any way to get him going, get him confidence, get him on the score sheet. Again, I keep going back to I would put him and Teuvo Teravainen together tonight. It's not like Teravainen has been great or even good since he came back in this series. I'm not going to fault him too much because he's probably rusty, but
yeah.
Maybe that's the connection that gets them both going. And yeah, Necas, he was rough in that series. A lot of turnovers, asleep at the wheel on a great pass from Brent Burns late in the third period that if he's like, I don't even want to say this, but it is what it feels like. If he's paying attention, he's going to tap in to tie that game and probably at least force overtime. With the dearth of offensive producers that the Hurricanes have right now, when you have a guy with that level of talent that has shown that he can do it, he's just got to be better. He's got to step up. He's got to be more consistent. He's got to be better with the puck. I think the Hurricanes are going to need a big game out of Martin Necas tonight if they're going to do this.
Yeah. And big in a positive way is also going to be really key as well. Because I don't want to have a big game and it be a game where he made a big mistake and cost them their game and at this point their season. But again, we can go down the list of guys. You talk about Teuvo Teravainen, but again, cutting him a little bit of slack right now, coming off of his broken hand.
Sure.
But again, we can go through the entire lineup and we'd be here all day. But Sebastian Aho and Marty Necas, they're the two guys. Like, we really need it from them tonight. But we're going to continue to talk more about game 4 and what we can expect and give our predictions for the game right after this quick break, folks. And now, attention, active individuals. Are you tired of sacrificing comfort for style when it comes to your activewear? Introducing Birddogs, the game changer in athletic shorts. Picture this: your premium shorts designed for maximum performance combined with unparalleled comfort. Birddogs are here to revolutionize your workout routine. With their unique built-in liner, these shorts offer ultimate support and flexibility, ensuring you stay comfortable during even the most intense workouts. And here's the best part: Birddogs are more than just workout gear. They're versatile enough to take you from the gym to the street without skipping a beat. Designed with pockets that actually work, Birddogs give you ample space to store your essentials while you're on the move. Birddogs are made with premium breathable fabric that keeps you cool and dry throughout your activities. Perfect for the trails, the gym, or simply lounging around. Birddogs are the shorts you've been searching for. I was wearing mine yesterday at the Paramore concert in Charlotte, walking around Charlotte in them, and they felt really, really great. Order your pair of Birddogs today and join the thousands of satisfied customers who have made the switch. Visit birddogs.com/lockedonnhl to get a free custom Birddogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. Birddogs, where style meets comfort and performance meets perfection. Get yours now and unleash your true potential. Now, looking at game 4 tonight, what if this is it? Because it's a very real possibility. It's not they're down 3-0 in the series. And as we've been talking about, the Panthers have been doing everything right in shutting down the Hurricanes, and they are in Sunshine, Florida tonight. And the Panthers have all the momentum in this series. So again, it's a very real possibility that this is it. But if it is, we're going to keep that as a big if. Is this season viewed as a success?
I think that's a very, very loaded question that there's a lot of things to consider with that. I think, going into it, especially if you think the Hurricanes are healthy, if they get to the Eastern Conference Final and they aren't playing the Boston Bruins, they're playing Florida, they get swept. You say no. I think on the whole, you have to say yes, even given the circumstance, given what they got here with the injuries that they had. It's ultimately another year of not getting over the hump. The only thing I would say is I think getting swept in this series and getting, continuing that streak. And I said this on Twitter the other night and a lot of people got mad at me. I don't really care. But anyway, continuing this streak of not winning a game in the conference finals since 2006, getting swept here, not a great look. I think it'd be a little bit different the games have been hard fought, yes, but if it was a hard fought 6 or 7 game series, but I do think getting swept in this series, not really being in it, winning games wise, that's going to leave a bit of a sour taste. But I think once you are able to step back and consider the full picture, I think you can consider this season a success, given that, going into the playoffs without Andrei Svechnikov, without Max Pacioretty, losing Teuvo Teravainen for a while, they weren't really expected to do much, and they do get back to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, I do feel the same way. Getting swept is not going to be a good look because, yes, here in the present and, say like next year, we'll remember, that they were super, super hurt. They didn't have Andrei Svechnikov. They didn't have Max Pacioretty. And, they were missing key pieces. But 5 years from now, are we really going to remember that? I know, obviously, we will. That's our job. But, is, my next door neighbor, 5 years from now, gonna remember that the Hurricanes were riddled with injuries in 2023. That's why they got swept by the Florida Panthers. No, they're just gonna remember they got swept. So it's gonna be interesting. But yes, I do agree. As a whole, this season is a success. They got past the second round, and I think that was big. That was, for me, I was looking at them to get to the Eastern Conference Final, getting over that second round hump that they were struggling to get over. And, they did that. And they did that very, very hurt. And they really willed themselves to this conference final. And I do think, it's, at the end of the day, it'll be looked at as a success. They got back to the conference final. And especially because Florida is such a good team, they feel like a team of destiny, like one of those teams, like they are just, on this legendary run. And, if, they go on, win it all, you really can't be upset. But it's one of those things. As a whole, I do think it will be viewed as a success, but it'll also still have that hint of disappointment because of, like you said, getting swept in the conference final again. Haven't won a game in the conference final since 2006.
Well, and we talked about this before the series about, having this mindset. And the other thing, that I just want to remind is, you get to this point in the playoffs, you're one of 4 teams left with an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup. Anytime you don't take advantage of that, there is going to be some disappointment because, it's hard. We've seen it. We've seen it very, very clearly. It's hard to get here. In 2019, they made that first run to the Eastern Conference Final. I don't think anybody thought that it would be 4 years. until they got back. And, you look at how close the games have been and how, some of the missed opportunities they've had that maybe could have gotten them over this hump. That is going to sting because, and again, like I do think with the injuries, it's still a successful season, but they showed clearly, they could play and beat, pretty good teams, a team like the Devils with the injuries. But I do, again, also think you have to go back to the fact, they're getting swept by the 8 seed. The 8 seed that beat the best team in hockey, one of the best teams in NHL regular season history, that made short work of a pretty good Leafs team that shouldn't have been the 8 seed that won the President's Trophy last year. These Panthers remind me a lot of the, this is the second time we've brought up the history of the LA Kings Cup runs on this show today, but they remind me kind of the 2012 Kings that underachieved in the regular season, got in as an 8 seed. And then they swept or beaten 5, I think, most of the teams they played in that playoffs and ended up winning the Stanley Cup. So I think you're seeing some similarities to that group here with these Panthers.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really do. And yeah, it's going to be one of those things at the end of the day. I think, we'll look back and be like, it'll be a big what if. What if Andre wasn't hurt? What if Max Pacioretty wasn't hurt? Could they have, beaten the Panthers? But we still got a game to play tonight. The season is not over. We are not digging the Hurricanes' grave and all that. We're not doing that because these games have been close. The Hurricanes have had chances to win these. As we've said, it could be total another way around. The Hurricanes could be up 3-0, up 2-1, down 2-1. They really could be at a different place in this series had, this one bounce gone slightly different direction, So we still have a game to play tonight. And I think that we are going to, I said it in game 3 and I'll say it again here in game 4 because I think it'll be just that much more turned up, is that the Hurricanes are going to be playing with a level of desperation we have not seen from them this season and this postseason. Because last time they were, trying to avoid going down 3-0. This time they're playing for their season. And I think they are going to be playing like madmen out there. I think everyone realizes, the position they're in and that they have to play out of their minds tonight to keep their season alive. I think we've talked about him a lot. Sebastian Aho, you can tell, how much he wants it. I think you're really going to see it from him. Haven't mentioned it yet, but I think we're going to see a monster game from Jesperi Kotkaniemi. We've already seen, everyone's seen the clip of him after game 3 in the hallway, breaking his stick, and Jack Drury trying not to get hit by flying debris and flying stick. I think Jesperi Kotkaniemi is going to be seeing red tonight. And I think he is maybe the Hurricanes' best player out there tonight with, you can just tell like he's frustrated. He wants it. Again, we know everyone does, not saying that no one else does. But yeah, I feel like he is really going to be a man on a mission tonight.
Yeah, I think the Hurricanes are going to win tonight. I do. I think they're going to break through for a couple goals, keep playing well defensively. They'll be the more desperate team. It's really hard. We've talked about how hard winning that game 3 on the road is after you win the first 2 at home. Winning that game 4 when you're trying to sweep is really, really hard too. We saw it with, I think the Leafs were able to win game 4 in Florida in that series. I do not think the Hurricanes are going to win the series. That would be pretty historic to do that in the conference final at this point. I do think they'll win tonight, force that game 5, get to come home with a shot at either extending the series or letting, the fans say goodbye to this group on home ice.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I do think the Hurricanes will probably get the win tonight. Again, that level of desperation they're going to be playing with, I think, is really going to, put them over the hump with the Panthers. But yeah, history is not on their side when it comes to coming down from 3-0 in the conference final. It's not on their side with that. I believe ESPN put out a stat the other day after the game. Teams when going up 3-0 in the conference final, 36-0. So, I mean, the Hurricanes can always be the first. We're not saying it's impossible, because we've seen what this team can do, even without Svechnikov, even without Pacioretty. So it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. But I do think the Hurricanes are really going to be playing out of their minds tonight, and that's going to, again, like Florida, like Toronto, they're going to avoid the sweep. Heck, like the Boston Celtics last night with the Miami Heat, avoiding that sweep. And I think that's what we're going to see tonight from the Hurricanes. I think they pull out a win. I think they end their conference final losing streak. I think they finally get a win in the conference final. But yeah, how long this series continues to go after tonight is going to be a very difficult question to ask. If the Hurricanes get momentum on their side, maybe it can happen. Maybe it can. Not saying it can't. But yeah, it's a very tall order for them. But we will continue to talk about what the Hurricane season has in store tomorrow as we recap Game 4. Hopefully, it's a good one. Hopefully, we're continuing to talk about the season and not doing a season retrospective. But at the end of the day, we got to wait. Game's got to happen. So make sure you are following Locked On Hurricanes on Twitter at @LO_Hurricanes. Make sure you are following myself and Andrew on Twitter at JaredEllis_96 and at ASchnitt53, respectively. Make sure you have your notifications turned on whatever streaming platform you're using. And of course, make sure tonight for the Hurricanes game, if you're not at the game in person, watching at home, watching at the watch party, you are listening over on Sirius XM on the SXM app. Make sure you're listening to the home broadcast over there, as well as Locked On Hurricanes, because we are over there now as well. And also subscribe on YouTube. We're having some nice little growth over there. We're growing our little family. So, folks, as always, let's go Canes, and we will talk to you tomorrow.